Hey guys, I'm going to do a not logged in game. I know I haven't done so many of these recently, but I want to practice treating every game exactly the same. So if you saw my video from last night, I had an awesome over the board game. And the bishop's opening, cool. Okay, I'm going to play normal. Don't know who my opponent is. This is the thing. You need to treat every opponent with the appropriate mix of respect and disdain. You know, you shouldn't underestimate them for sure. Any opponent. And also you shouldn't overestimate them. So here I have d5 with tempo. So I can ignore the attack on the pawn. I mean, yeah, if he takes actually... I didn't really think that through. If he'd taken the pawn and I'd taken the bishop, we could have ended up with a trade of queens. Don't really want that. Okay, I'm going to push through in the middle. I want to get rid of the tension here. I really don't want this pawn to take me, because that would lose me a turn. Also, with this pawn here, it stops this knight from coming out. Okay, pins my knight. This is fine. I can recapture the pawn. If he wants to take, that's cool. I will quite happily struggle on with the bishop pair into the ending. So it doesn't feel like I'm playing an absolute beginner for sure here. Kicking the bishop is an idea. Means he hasn't got time to take the pawn. Kit takes, I take back. He wins the pawn because my queen is no longer defending from that square. I think just simply c6. Takes. My queen still defends. The knight is relieved of defensive duties. Take back with the pawn. Now I have the two central pawns to white's one central pawn. And two nice pieces developed. I'm doing okay. We have a check. I can block with the knight. I can block with the knight on d7. I could retreat the bishop, but I don't see any point in that really right now. I think knight here looks absolutely fine. If he wants to take again, he loses the bishop pair. Knight d7 is worth consideration. The advantage of that move is it pairs these two knights. So if he takes here, I can recapture with my knight, but I can also recapture with the g-pawn as well. So, am I worried? What I like about this move is it eyes up this pawn, which means the queen is tied down to the defense of that. So that's what I'm going to do. This pawn on b2 is undefended. I might play queen b6. That puts a second attacker on this pawn as well, and attacks an undefended pawn. Okay, no brainer. Got to come out and pin the knight. This gets rid of the idea of queen b6, queen b2. But the knight's now pinned and can't move. It would put white in check. He's not allowed to do that. He's got one attacker on here, but it's not actually an attacker because you are frozen out of the game. Okay, he pairs his knights. Doesn't make a fat lot of difference. Okay, I'm thinking short castles makes a lot of sense here. This knight also defends this pawn. So that pawn is defended once. I could play queen b6 and attack the pawn a second time. Oh, actually, no, it's defended twice. But I think short castles, I've got a semi-open f-file. This is the whole point of Freddy Krueger. Like the Vienna Gambit, short castles. Apologies for the background noise. Still got 2.5 weeks left before all these kittens can go to their forever homes. I'd like to get out of the pin. Okay, we've got two attackers here. That's a reasonable move. I can bring my knight back to defend this pawn. I could retreat the bishop. Don't see a lot of point in that. I think knight here, because the knight might end up going to g6, and it's all right there. My rook defends this knight, so I'm not unhappy about that. If he wants to take, I'll lift my rook. It gives me definitely attacking chances on either side of the board. So all in all, we've just about completed development. Opponent's in a similar position but hasn't castled. Alright. Vado vivanto do. If I come here, I block the queen's defense of that pawn. So I think I have to come back. He doesn't have a double kick because the bishop's in the way of the b-pawn, right? Let's maintain the pin on the knight. Also, the only defender of this bishop is the queen. If I were to play queen b6, it would be the only attacker on that pawn right now. My opponent is definitely not a beginner. Definitely not. I think I'm playing an intermediate player. My bishop could come here. Question is, I mean, this pawn is locked. So bishop here does apply more pressure to that pawn. Could bring my knight back round, but again, there's two defenders. So boy's doing okay. There's a thought. Yeah, line up the bishop and the queen. Queen in front of the bishop. Instant checkmate threat. This bishop is not looking very scary right now, especially with the rook there. I can this knight and this queen can just go off and have fun. Well, I'm thinking queen d6, bishop c7, because there ain't no way that king's castling long. My knight could come in and join the fun also. So I'm liking queen d6 as my next move. So I'll quite often do this. I do this a lot in blitz. Just line up my next idea. Oh. Say not that you are planning to long castle. You're not going to have your king and your queen on an open file. I don't believe it. Hey, right. Defended once. I can come here. Decent move, actually. I thought that bishop was starting to grow moss on it. Here. Sorry, here. He has this. I always have this move too. But I want to keep this bishop in my pocket, so maybe just drop my queen back here. The knight is still pinned, actually. So rook a c8 or rook f c8. Probably rook a c8, seeing as it's the one that's stuck behind a pawn, whereas this guy's got a whole load of fun. Okay. Sometimes you want to meet this move head on. I could bring my knight into the action. I like the idea of this. Pinning this knight. Well, it's already pinned, actually. It'd be doubly pinned. So it can't even legally move. So this knight's the only defender of that. Knight g6 targets the bish. And it's a good piece. And this knight's doing nothing. So knight g6 is definitely an idea. Also hits the pawn, but only once. I'm kind of liking this. Let's do it. Can't go there, or there really, because knight will take it anyway. So, Okay, well I'm taking the bishop. I think it's definitely a more powerful piece right now. Okay, this knight again is still pinned. If this pawn comes forward, I can just push the pawn. That's not an issue. Rook a c8. I think it's time for that move. Two attackers on here. I have two defenders. Knight can't come in here. It's got two defenders. Bishop might drop back now, which I've wanted to do for a while. It does block this whole idea, but right now that knight is still pinned. Okay, so I can actually win a pawn here, because he's just undefended the pawn with the queen. Or rook takes, I get my rook back, yeah? So bishop takes with check is tempting. But then pawn takes, and what do I win? I win a pawn. Rook takes, I win a whole piece. If he recaptures, I take the pawn, king has to move, I win the rook outright. Notice that my opponent didn't take an awful long time over that move. 17 seconds over that move. And now this is a classic fork. What's more, the king can't get off the back rank. So the king, there's only 3 legal moves here. Right, and all of them pretty much lose material. So now we're doing jolly well. Okay, he's trying to save the rook, but I have this. Looks good. But I had this in my game last night. I'm in a good position. Opponent started playing fast and loose. And what you need to do is you need to go, and really take your time. You know, and he's offering me a draw. It's unrated. It's unrated, man. I've got to check here. Pawn takes or queen takes. I have knight there. I think I'm going to go for that. Actually, if queen takes, that removes my possibility of this move, so I didn't really think that one through. I also have this though, actually, if queen takes. Okay, but pawn takes now I have... Yeah, now my bishop is actually hanging. That's an annoyance. So I'll throw in the check. Can't stay there, can't stay there. That gives my bishop actually this square, defended now by the knight. So this is all good. We're up in material. That's a check. Can't go to these squares. He's going to go to probably to f1. Looks very natural, but that would be catastrophically bad. Why? Knight g3 would be a royal fork. So well done. This is no beginner to have spotted that. Nah. Okay, I can have a free pawn now because he can't take. Why? Same thing on this side of the board. Free pawn. And that wins the game. So a real boost of confidence. You really should watch the game that I had last night. It's I faced the Danish Gambit against a slightly higher rated player. He's like 1590 ECF rating, which is equivalent to FIDE. I'm 1570, something like that. So pretty closely matched. I get the black pieces. He plays the Danish. Cracking game. But the most important thing about it is it's given me a bunch of confidence that I can do this, right? So instead of kind of trying to scratch for or just go wild and berserk for quick wins and quick points, which tends to blow up in my face or has been recently, I've been I now feel like, because this I'll tell you, this is a 48 move game. And when I put it into the chess.com analysis board, it gave me 2050 as the ELO estimate, which is pretty damn cool. For a nearly 50 move game to play over 2000 quality, that shows me I can do this. Right? And I took my time as well, which is also really nice. This guy's abandoned, clearly. So, it doesn't really matter. But I'm going to wait until it winds up because I do want to check the ELO thing on it. It's not been a perfect game, for sure. But again, not bad. Still have ideas. I mean, this for example, wins material. Well, it doesn't win material, it forces material off the board, which is all good for me. But yeah, he's now just given up. So, interesting thing, I don't think you can copy the PGN during a game, which is fascinating. But yeah, do watch that one, it's a really good one. So, I have got a bit of an idea hatching, which I'll tell you guys, is to set myself a challenge of actually reaching 2000. I know, some of you may giggle. Yeah, it's like, dude, you're struggling to keep your head above 1400 at the moment. I know. My highest is about 1670 something in rapid, But what I do realise is that because I've been playing some 1200s, some 1300s, 1400s, and 1500s recently, the margin, the difference between those, the play, the standard of play, the awareness of the game, is not that great between the levels. That's a key thing. It also very much depends on how much pressure you exert on your opponent as well. You know, when you play well, it makes them appear to play worse. When you play, the looser you play, the better you make them look as well. I think that's very, very very true in chess. It is kind of like an arm wrestle, you know. If you start to give way, it makes your opponent look like they're doing better. And it makes it easier for them to put more pressure on. So, are we going to wait for this guy to... Surely it's going to abandon at some point if he doesn't make a move, because he's messing around. But either way, it's no bad thing to kind of line up your next move. Well, I know what my next move is, actually. I'm going to take his queen, aren't I? His king's got to move to one of these squares. So it doesn't really matter. I just win the game. I just simply win the game. Got same coloured bishops, which makes it then feasible for me to trade them off with maybe like a bishop fork kind of idea. So it's a no-brainer, that one. Yeah, this idea of like the road to 2000 would be very interesting. So I'm also thinking about maybe signing up for some lessons, and maybe even publishing those lessons online to really make it into a keen project. So I think we're going to have to wind this one up, because guest, whatever his name is, has wandered off. He could have just hit resign. Not very sporting, but then no one knows who he is. So anyway, enjoyable game. I'm not going to get to see the report on it, but hey ho, job done. Right, thanks for watching, guys. See you later.